This video is sponsored by Stormforce PCs, which are a UK specialised supplier that provide the best and highest spec PCs you can dream of, especially for those who are looking for a top-end flight simulator rig. In fact, every single video on this channel is powered by a Stormforce computer, and for very good reason. With their competitive 3-year warranty and their excellent build quality, superb customer service, genuinely this is the only PC manufacturer that I trust. So check out the link in the description below for a very nice discount on your dream PC. Okay guys, so welcome back to the channel, and indeed another MSFS 2024 video, this time in the Quest 3. And honestly, this has really surprised me today. Just check out this performance, and don't worry, we're not just going to fly around Norway, we're also going to fly around London in an airliner as well. So this is currently with DLSS set to quality, using the latest DLSS file using the DLSS swapper, which I've shown on the channel I think probably yesterday. And we are currently using DLSS right now, and with a different computer. This is an AMD 7950X running a 4090 with 64 gigs of RAM. I've also tested this with my 13900K, and I've noticed that the performance is actually very similar, with probably the X3D processor gaining about 3 to 4 frames per second more in VR. Anyway, let's now go to the settings, because this is what really surprised me. Go to VR graphics. Bit of a faff this, I preferred it when it was just a tab between 2D and VR, but never mind. These are the settings I'm settling on at the moment, especially for the Quest 3. And you can see everything is at reasonable sort of either medium or high. And now we're going to switch to TAA mode, which this really just shocked me, because it's the same performance. Just let it settle down for a moment. And look at this, 40 frames per second still. Now don't get me wrong, as you know, I am actually a fan of DLSS now with the DLSS swapper, but you cannot beat TAA, and if I can run it, I absolutely will, and it looks like I can with the Quest 3 here. Now the difference between DLSS set to quality with the swapper and FSR sharpening compared to TAA has shrunk, but TAA is still better, especially for cockpit gauges when looking at the G3000. Now I'm recording this off the Quest 3 itself, so hopefully it'll look okay, but of course it might look a bit stuttery. That's just the VR footage. Right, so here's my virtual desktop settings. I'm using Snapdragon game resolution, increased color vibrance. Now I haven't got it set here, but the increased video nominal range is quite good for deeper blacks. VR bitrate, I would not recommend going much higher than that. Sharpening set to 75%, which is quite high, and godlight mode. And actually, if you've got, say, a 4070, well, you might actually still want to try godlight mode, set to 80 frames per second, because I find 80 frames per second perfectly fine in the Quest 3. I don't think there's any reason to go higher than that, because you're just giving your computer a higher target to reach. And 40 frames per second was locked and absolutely really smooth using SSW, which is Virtual Desktop's motion reprojection technique, which honestly I find absolutely fantastic. It's the best that I've ever come across. So here we are now in London with this little ultralight. We will be testing out an airline at the moment as well, so don't worry. And you can see here TAA mode, still the same graphical settings I've just shown you, and we're recording and we're still locked at 40 frames per second SSW. At this point I have to say the performance is way better than that of the Crystal Light. Now of course I expect it to be better because the Crystal Light has a much higher resolution, but the difference here between the Crystal and the Quest 3 for some reason is larger than it is in MSFS 2020. It seems MSFS 2024 is affected by higher resolution VR headsets a lot more. I just don't know why guys, but that's just what it's like in my tests. I've also checked this out with my own 13900K RTX 4090 base machine, and interestingly it's probably only about 3 or 4 frames per second in it, and when you're locked using SSW like here anyway, you don't even notice. But look at this beautiful scenery here over London low. It's very smooth and very enjoyable. In fact, this is the smoothest I've ever experienced so far in this sim. Now I just have to show you quickly because it's so beautiful, this AMD Ryzen 9 7950 X3D 16 core CPU running a 4090. Look at that beautiful white RTX 4090 in that case. Absolutely gorgeous. And again, thank you to Stormforce for collaborating with me because I'm currently testing a variety of different systems to get you these VR settings. So back to London City here and over the London Eye. And oh, look at this, 40 frames per second. This is quite shocking. Is this better than the Pimax Crystal Light? Well, to be honest, for this type of flying when you're close to the ground and in VFR mode, well, yes it is. Because the clarity difference isn't so important when you're looking out at the scenery. But if I did have to pick myself, I still would go for the Crystal Light because I prefer absolute clarity, those beautiful colours and the native DisplayPort connection. But there's no doubt about it, this test shows that the Quest 3 absolutely rocks using virtual desktop in 2024. Anyway, these are my OpenXR Toolkit settings. I'm using fixed foveated rendering, turbo mode, experimental on, which isn't needed really because you can do that in the main menu. But I sometimes find it works better with the OpenXR Toolkit. And override resolution, I haven't got that set because I'm using the Godlight mode, but you can mess around with that and you can even downscale it like this. Now something I am confused about, and that is Matt, the OpenXR Toolkit founder, has actually stated not to use OpenXR Toolkit in MSFS 2024, but as far as I can see, it's working really well. So, you know, take that as you will. But for me in these tests, well, you can see it's really working very nicely indeed. So after a bit of a shaky start, we're back up to 40 frames per second here and over London City in the Airbus. Just look at this shot here. Now, I do apologise, you have been seeing a lot of London City over this past week, but that's because it is the PC breaker zone. But anyway, I hope this video has been useful to you. These are the Quest 3 settings I'm running with both an AMD 7950 X3D processor and a 13900K, running both a 4070 and 4090. Although with the 4070, just dial that resolution back a little bit. Thank you so much for watching as always. Please feel free to subscribe and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.